Hello, and welcome back to Hunter Tuned. Today we're going to work on my GSR engine that I'm putting together for my EK hatchback. We were running a B20. I went through a couple B20 motors and ended up cracking the sleeves on pretty much every motor that I put in that car. I tried doing a couple preventative maintenance things. We tried the DevCon. We tried, just keeping the tune really rich. I tried a couple different things, and honestly, the B20 went 1090s, and I'm pretty proud of how far I pushed a B20. Not a lot of people can say they went 10s with a B20 block, but I did it, and I'm fairly happy with myself, and I feel like I achieved the goal that I was trying to set with the motor. And now it's just time to make something that's a little bit more reliable, hopefully, and not spend any money, because, well, we had a bunch of parts laying around, and we're going to see what we can do with the parts that I had laying around. So we got a set of GSR Eagle rods, and then we got a set of CP high compression forged pistons. These are 81 millimeter pistons, and these are just factory, or not factory, but like stock H-beam Eagle type rods, GSR length. I got my piston rings laid out here, and I got some extra piston rings up here from the rings that actually came off of these pistons. These pistons are actually used, these connecting rods are used, and the block is used. So this block has a Golden Eagle block guard inserted into it already. I don't usually ever recommend people run a block guard, but this one already has it in there, and it was free. This engine was completely free to me, so I'm going to see what we can do with it and see if the block guard will help strengthen it at all. I feel like some people say that a block guard is more damaging than it is good, and some people say the complete opposite, where something's better than nothing kind of thing. But this motor did have a wrist pin back out into the side of the cylinder. With the previous build that it was done, I actually tore this out of a car for a customer, and he said it was smoking really bad, and I pulled this engine out of a car for a guy, and I wasn't going to throw this into a customer's car, mine. I was just going to keep it around, just to see if maybe we can play with it a little bit and see if I can maybe bore it out or whatever, to see if this wrist pin damage on the cylinder was anything to be concerned about, or what have you. But anyways, I pulled this motor apart. It had forged pistons in it. It had low compression CP pistons, and every single piston that was in this motor was cracked. Like the ringlands were cracked, the top of the piston was cracked on every single piston that came out of this thing. And it ran really good when I pulled it apart. It just smoked out of the valve cover, and I'm hoping that a lot of that smoke was coming from the cracked pistons and wasn't actually coming from the damaged cylinder here. I am going to show you guys how to hone the cylinders, just kind of backyard way to do it. I have a dingle ball hone, or a flex hone you can call it, right here on the end of my drill, and I'm kind of going through each cylinder and I'm giving it a hone. So obviously, I don't know if you guys can tell, but this block has been honed on the 3 cylinders on the left. So this cylinder is honed. There's the damage on the cylinder there. It actually looks quite a bit worse on camera, but in real life it doesn't actually look as bad as it looks on camera. You can feel it with your finger, but it's nothing that's like, it's not like all the way through or anything like that. It would probably clean up with like a 40 thousandths over bore, but I have pistons that are 81 millimeter, so I don't really want to go to 82 quite yet. And honestly, I'm going to see what we can do, like I said, with the free parts that I have laying around. So I honed these cylinders already, the first 3. So I don't know if you guys can tell, but there is a little bit of cross-hatching starting. There is a little bit of cross-hatching starting on these cylinders here. I'm probably going to go through them again. Sometimes you have to hone them for quite a while to get some cross-hatching going on the cylinders. And the cross-hatching is pretty much going to allow the ring on the piston. So these are the piston rings. They go onto the piston, obviously, like so. And what the cross-hatching does, or why you want to hone the cylinders, is because when they glaze over, like the one that's on the far right, so like this one has a lot of like discoloration, and if you feel it with your finger, it's really smooth and glazed over. You want to avoid that, because if you have that, the rings tend to not seal as good. I personally never notice a damn difference, but I've thrown them together without honing them. I've thrown them together with honing, and I don't personally notice anything. you know, catastrophic, but I like to just hone them anyways. It's pretty easy and cheap to do, and I actually just borrowed this cylinder hone from my machinist, and he let me borrow it. So I'm just going to show you guys kind of what I do to hone the cylinders quick, and we'll go from there. Sorry if it's a little bit loud. I have the heater rolling because I'm in Wisconsin here, and it's winter time. And yeah, so whatever. We're going to get to honing the cylinders out, and then after we hone the cylinders, I have a set of piston rings that I had laying around, but they're for an 82 millimeter piston. I had these in a car a long time ago, and I saved the rings for some odd reason, but probably because I knew this day was coming. But these are piston rings from an 82 millimeter piston, and if you put the 82 millimeter piston rings in the 81 millimeter bore, they actually overlap, so they have to get ground down to accommodate for the 81 millimeter pistons. Now, if you were to use 81 millimeter rings on an 82 millimeter piston, the ring gap would just be really big. But in this case, their ring gap is non-existent. They're actually butting up against each other and overlapping. So I'll show you a comparison here between like a 81 millimeter ring and an 82 millimeter ring to kind of show you guys the comparison between the two and what they're different. Because obviously, if the cylinder is bigger, the ring needs to be tighter. So. And then vice versa, backwards, 81 would have to be smaller, etc., etc. But yeah, we're just going to make these 82 millimeter rings work. I'm just going to have to grind them down quite a bit, but that's no big deal. I'm actually really excited about this build, guys. I think it's actually going to work out pretty good. I think this setup's going to last. I hope. I hope it doesn't break, but who knows? We're going to push it, and we're going to probably max that GTX 3582 out on this thing and see if we crack a sleeve or if we break a piston or what have you. But theoretically, if this car had, or if this motor had a CSS in it with these pistons and everything, I wouldn't see an issue running 700 horsepower with it fairly reliably. But we will see. It sucks also because I got a guy. Hang on, let me kick this fucking heater off here. Oh, this thing is so warm. I don't want to shut it off. What I do for YouTube, guys. Man, I turn my heater off for you guys. I put fucking videos out. Oh my god, I'm such a nice guy. Anyways, so I'm in a pickle because I don't know if you guys have been following for a while, but I used to have a Honda CRX, and that was one of the cars on the channel that we picked up, and I really enjoyed that CRX. I got a lot of help from Young Static. If you guys haven't checked out his YouTube channel, go check him out. Young Static actually kind of motivated me into trying an EF chassis and swapping an EF chassis. I've had a bunch of CRXs and EFs in the past, but I've never actually swapped one and done everything start to finish, like, you know, stock single cam, dual point, and then swap into B series, you know, do the conversion, swap the spindles, do all that kind of stuff. I didn't do that ever before this last CRX I had, which was last winter. And I recently had found a guy at AutoZone that kind of came up to me and he's like, oh, I'm trying to sell my CRX. And immediately my ears kind of perked up. And I want to pick it up because it's a CRX SI. It's fairly clean. It's not the cleanest thing, obviously, because it's in Wisconsin. It's got a little bit of a body kit on it and all that. I don't know really the condition of it, but he showed me a few pictures and it really piqued my interest. It has an engine swap in it of some sort. It's a single cam, I know. And yeah, he says he wants $600. So I'm going to try to gather up as much money as I can because I'd really like to pick up another project car for the winter and build an all-motor B20 VTEC for the CRX, just like I had in my last one, because that thing was such a fucking blast. We put studded tires on it. We took it out on the lake and beat the crap out of it for a long time. And honestly, I have these rods and pistons over here, are 84 millimeter. I have a head gasket already. I have a spare cylinder head upstairs. I would just need a block. And a block is pretty easy to come by me for B20s. They're kind of all over. And then I would need like a transmission and shit like that. But I think it'd be a really fun project to maybe try to pick up. I'm not promising anything, but I mean, it is something that I might pick up just because, you know, CRXs are kind of cool. I enjoy them very much. But anyways, enough with the babbling. Like I said, I'm going to try to save up some money and maybe pick that thing up. We'll see. I'm not 100% sure. like I said, money and everything like that is a little bit tight, so gotta get the views on the YouTube channel. But anyways, so I'm gonna get to honing the cylinders and show you guys that. Alright guys, so I got my little dingle ball fucking hone here. It's really wore out, but we're just gonna send it. And this is the only cylinder that I haven't done yet, and I think my drill battery is going dead, but this hone is a little bit big, but you just gotta jam it in, you know? You know, she might yell at you, but you just gotta jam it in. And then just give her some spins. Now, I like to just hold it in one position for quite a while, and then slowly go up and down with the drill. My drill battery is going dead. And obviously, I don't know if you guys know, you can do this dry, but it's best to use a little bit of lube, like WD-40 or KY, whatever you prefer. But this is the way that I do it. I usually oil the cylinder just a little bit before I stick the hone in and start honing away. I gotta swap my battery quick. But like I said, I just like to stick it in and then spin it in one position and then slowly go up and down. You don't want to, I mean, I feel like it doesn't matter, honestly. I feel like I just get better results when I go slow with it and leave it in one position and then go down a little bit and hold it there for a second and then go up a little bit and hold it there for a second, like this. Slowly going up and down. And then when you pull out, you want to pull out while you're spinning it. I notice if you pull out, wow, this video could turn really fucking dirty really quick. But when you pull out, if you're not spinning and you like stop while you're in the bore and then you pull it out, you kind of notice those marks that come straight up, and they're not like a spiral cross hatch type of mark. So yeah, that's what I do. At least I like to pull it out as I am still spinning the drill, and that seems to help out quite a bit. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. You can kind of do this as much as you can, or as much as you want, until you reach the desired cross hatching that you're looking for. These cylinders look kind of glazed still. They don't look the greatest, but I don't think it's really going to get much better with this cylinder hone. I spent quite a bit of time on this first one to try to knock off some of that, you know, damage on the cylinder, and I knocked down quite a bit of it. But the cylinders are still a little bit glassy. They're not perfectly cross-hatched, but honestly, I think it's going to be fine. Like I said, usually when I see blow-by on any engine, whether it's smoking out of the valve cover a lot or if it's smoking out of the exhaust or what have you, usually 9 times out of 10, it's just because the piston rings are broken or the piston is broken. A lot of times your car's not going to smoke like a choo-choo train if you don't hone the cylinders properly, kind of thing. So yeah, like I said, a lot of times if your car's smoking like a choo-choo train, it's usually got a bad piston, like the ring land is broken or the piston ring itself is broken or something like that. That's usually what causes the smoke and blow-by, in my opinion. I've never pulled an engine apart that had all the pistons on it or the rings and everything in there and nothing was broken and had it smoke. That's just my word of advice. All right, boys and girls, we are back up on the workbench, and I'm going to be gapping the piston rings now. Now, like I was saying earlier, these rings that I had laying around are from an 82 millimeter piston, so the rings are not exactly perfect. So these piston rings, I have one piston ring from an 81 millimeter setup, and then I have another piston ring from an 82 millimeter setup. So I'm going to show you guys about how much I'm going to need to cut off to accommodate the ring gap that is needed, which I'm just going to run anywhere between 20 and 30 thousandths, making the second ring a little bit bigger. And that's what I do on pretty much all of them. So if we take the piston rings and we kind of line them up with one end like butted up together. So if we take both piston rings, like this one is lined up perfectly on this side, and then we go around the rest of the ring and make sure it's all lined up. There we go. Okay, so you can see that the rings are overhanging. So this back one here is overhanging, and that's the one that I'm going to be using. So I have to grind down the back ring to match the first ring. That's what I'm doing to start. And then once they're kind of close, I can grind it down farther if needed to set the ring gap or whatever. So I'm going to pretty much just take this piston ring to the bench grinder, and we're going to grind it down. I play a risky game. I use a bench grinder for doing piston rings. Sometimes they come out a little bit bigger than I anticipated, but it'll be fine. It'll be fine. And if it's not, well, oh well. Deburring it. And I always hit it with the wire wheel, get any of the edges off of where I grind it. But now, if we check it in the bore, so like I said, this one was from an 81 millimeter bore, and this other one's from an 82 millimeter bore, so we'll put this sumbitch down in the bore. Nope, there we go. So we'll put it down in there. Let me grab my piston ring pushing tool. My piston ring pushing tool. Give her a push. Yeah, it's still overlapping. I don't know if you guys can see. Don't know if you guys can see down there, but they are overlapping still. So that means I gotta grind down even more. And yeah, so I'm gonna keep grinding away on this thing, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's right. All right, guys, so I just got done gapping the rings. I took them to Gapplebee's, and okay, so this is the first top ring, and this is the second ring, and I have them laid out on this fucking old bench chair that I had at my fucking vape store when I had it. I got these chairs for like 20 bucks, and that's what I used for customers to sit on. Because I was broke as shit. I didn't have any fucking bar stools. But anyways, now it's a garage stool. And so top ring, second ring, got them gapped. I put them into corresponding cylinders and gapped them accordingly. So the top ring's at like 25 and the second ring's at like 28. Some of them are a little bit bigger. I messed up on like one or two of the second rings, and they're like 40 thousandths, but oh well. So the next thing, I'm having a little bit of a pickle. Like I said, guys, if this thing smokes, it fucking smokes. Oh well. I'm literally just doing this because I have the stuff laying around. But anyways, the dilemma I'm having now is the oil ring. So the little oil control ring, this is the spring part. So this thing is like, you know, kind of springy. You can open and close it. This ring, when I put it into the bore initially, so like, if I take, hang on, I'm going to try to put the camera somewhere where you guys can see what the hell I'm doing. Come on, bench chair, bar stool fucking thing. All right, you guys are going to sit on here. All right, hopefully you guys can see. Okay, so when I took this spring ring, dude, and I put it into the bore, expanded all the way around the cylinder, how it's going to be around the piston, I had issue where the spring ring was overlapping and butting up against it, and I wasn't able to actually get it into the bore. So what I did, this is super ghetto shit, dude. I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys, this is pretty ghetto, but I'm just doing it because, I don't know, I like fucking around and messing shit up, experimenting. Okay, so I took these rings and I took a side cutter and I cut, so like there's a little, there's like zigzags in it. I cut one of the zigzags out. So I cut one zigzag out on each of these. And now they fit into the bore with a gap. So these 3 I already did, and then I have 1 left. So this is the one that's probably going to butt up when I put it in here. Yep. And it butts up just a little bit. It does one of these maneuvers. So when I put it in the bore, it overlaps like that. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting one of them off. So I'm taking a side cutter here, like this, taking it, giving her a good old-fashioned squeeze. These fucking little spring things are stiffer than shit. So here we go. There we go. It's broke off. Hopefully you guys can see what I just did there. And now when I put it into the bore, we are dog pile chicken smile. So I hope this works. If it doesn't, I'm sorry, I let you down. But we're gonna try it. I'm gonna grind these down a little bit, smooth out the edges. And then I just have to do the little thinner oil rings. I have to gap those so they're good and whatnot. And then the piston rings are done. And then I'm probably gonna go inside because it's fucking 16 degrees out. And my heater is not keeping up in the garage. It's not getting very warm in here. And like the heater works really good in here if it's above 25 or 30. Then it gets the temperature in the garage to like 50 or 60. But when it's like 15 degrees or 10 degrees, it only gets up to like 35, maybe 40 in here because the insulation isn't that great. There's fucking holes in the windows. And yeah, it's not that great. But I do with what I have, hence why I'm fucking rigging piston rings together for entertainment and or what the fuck am I trying to say here? Humiliation? Wow, why can't I say it? I'm gonna be humiliated. I can't even say it. How do you guys say humiliate? What the fuck am I trying to say? Humiliated. Humiliated? This is gonna bug me. So yeah, anyways, humiliated. I'm gonna be humiliated in public. Wow, why the fuck can't I say this? Siri, can you spell humiliated?
Humiliated.
Humiliated. Humiliated. I don't know why that sounds so weird to me right now. Humiliated. I don't want to be humiliated. Wow, I feel like I'm learning a new fucking language. Okay, so this is the spring dude that goes onto the piston here. This is the one I just ground down, and it's not overlapping on the piston or anything like that. So that's good. And then obviously the thinner rings go on each side of this guy. So I have to grab the thinner ones and grind those down. The gap on the oil ring doesn't really care as much as the top and bottom. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it does care. Maybe it doesn't. But yeah, they're overlapping. So I got to grind these down. And then once these are ground down, we'll do our little outro fucking music like everybody likes. Everybody likes that outro song. You guys like my outro song? It's pretty lit. Weird flex, but okay. Yo, yo, yo. So I got the rings all gapped up. And that's going to be it. So I took the oil control rings. I put them into the bore. And I set them at 1.5. I just took them to my bench grinder. That fucker's still spinning. It's kind of like my ball bearing BS Racing Turbo. Just keeps spinning. Oh, speaking of which, there it is. Anyways, so yeah, got the rings all gapped up. The pistons are cleaned. Now all I'm waiting for is the bolt for my girdle, and then I can flip this thing over. I can check some bearing clearances. I've actually got some plastic gauge, and I might be showing you guys kind of how to use this stuff in the next video. This is just to check like your bearing clearances, the clearance between the bearing and the crankshaft where the oil film sits. So I might be doing the Plastigauge stuff on the next video, kind of check all the bearing clearances, make sure everything is good, even though I know 100% for a fact that it's going to be perfect, because this crank is the one that was out of there, and this crank is super clean. I pulled this out of this running engine. Every tolerance and clearance was like perfect on this setup, so I'm pretty sure that this crank and everything is totally fine. This thing's probably going to run really good, but it might smoke a little, but I don't know, we'll see. Maybe it won't smoke at all. Hopefully it just makes jam and I have fun with it. That's my goal. Okay, yeah, so that's going to be it, guys. We'll put the pistons onto the rods, maybe check some bearing clearances tomorrow, and show you how to put these damn circlips in. They're pretty easy. But yeah, I think that's going to be it. Got the rings gapped, 82 mil rings and an 81 mil bore. Like a boss. But yeah, anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for everybody that reaches out to me all the time, talking to me in emails and Facebook Messenger and stuff like that. I talk to quite a few of you guys on a daily basis, and it's kind of enjoyable talking to you guys. I really enjoy your feedback, and leave a comment down below what you thought of today's video, and we'll send it, and see you tomorrow.